What time is it? It's time to review what was taught in Duolingo Japanese time section. Now this section covers everything you will need to know when stating the time, asking for the time, and even counting in Japanese.
1つ、1台、2枚、3人。
Okay, not that kind of counting, just basic numbers. You can relax for now. And one tip I wanted to mention before we begin here, if you plan on visiting Japan, you'll need to be able to understand how to read time on a 24-hour clock. I found most schedules and often people referring to 13 o'clock and beyond. So if you don't want to miss your train, then set your watch to this mode before your trip, so you'll never be late.
遅い。 Osoi means you're late.
Let's now begin this review by getting our basic numbers down, as you can't state the time if you can't say any numbers. I don't expect you to remember all of these numbers immediately. That's what playing Duolingo is for, of course. Here are the basic numbers from 1 to 10 in Japanese. 0 is, well, 0. That's easy. You may also hear this one less commonly spoken as rei. Now 1 is ichi, 2, ni, 3, san, 4, yon or shi, 5, go, 6, roku, 7, nana or shichi, 8, hachi, 9, kyu or ku, 10, ju. You may have noticed that the numbers 0, 4, 7, and 9 had two ways of saying them. The more you get into learning how to count in Japanese, the more you'll recognize when each form is used. But for now, to explain the reasoning behind this, let's quickly ask our trusty Japanese guide, Chisa.
Well, what I can say is those numbers are sometimes weird to hear with other words. For example, to say 4 apples, we say yonko instead of saying shiko. Because like shiko is one of those postures that sumo wrestler would make. Anyway, shiko sounds so weird.
Next up was counting in groups of tens such as 10, 20, 30, and so on. To do this, all you need to do is follow this formula. State the number of group of 10 plus the number 10, ju. For example, to say 20 is niju, the number 2 followed by the number 10, niju. Can you guess what 30 would be? Yep, you guessed it, sanju. The number 3, san, followed with 10, ju. 3 groups of 10. Easy, right? Building off our current knowledge, what about stating within groups of 10? This is very similar to the previous formula. However, it's backwards and slightly longer. Here's how it works. Group of 10 plus the number within the group of 10. For example, to say 24 is 2 groups of 10, niju for 20, then the number within the group, yon, meaning 4. Altogether, niju yon. 24. Now that I think of this, it's really the same as in English, 24, 24. Now that you have a basic understanding of numbers, it's the moment you've all been waiting for, using them to actually state the time in Japanese. Now let's start with stating the hour, as in to say o'clock. This is very simple. All you need to do is state the number of o'clock it is and follow it with the word ji, meaning hour or o'clock. For example, 1 o'clock is ichi-ji, 2 o'clock is ni-ji, 3 o'clock is san-ji. I think you get the point by now. Number of hour plus ji equals x o'clock. Can you use ji to say like 3 hours, 2 hours, as in it took me 2 hours?
So only it's in use of time. So to say 2 hours like you asked, it is 2時間. So you need to say 時間 after the number. 時間 means hours.
Now when it comes to stating the minutes of time in Japanese, this works the exact same way as hours. State the number, then end the number with the word for minute, which is either hun or pun. Yes, unfortunately this changes depending on the number, so this may take some practice. Why does the number 7 change when you're saying hours versus minutes?
There's no clear answer. I got also quite confused when I was little. I happened to say 7지 instead of 7지, and then people would laugh at me, saying, "Oh, you sound so kiddish." It's just like the same as like when you hear kids saying gooses instead of geese. Why? There's a difference between them. Can you answer? If you can, please put a comment. Then I can learn.
Can this also be used to count minutes, such as to say, it took me 10 minutes to shower today?
Oh, yeah. It's different from hours. It's easy. You just go by 分. 分. 家に走って10分かかりました. So that means it took me 10 minutes to run home. I guess it's pretty long, but I hope you picked up 10分.
Now that you can differentiate between hours and minutes, let's learn how to state basic time. Let's say right now, Ima, it is 3:15. Sanji jugo hun desu. Take a look at the structure here. It's very simple. Number of hour, san for 3, ji for o'clock, number of minute, jugo for 15, then hun for minute. And of course, the sentence ender desu. Keep in mind, when desu is added to the end of the stated time, it means it is this time. If you would simply like to refer to a specific time aside from the time it is, just remove desu, and now this phrase means 3:15. It does not anymore mean it is 3:15. This one took me a while to recognize.
What? What?
Ah, it is 2 o'clock. Desu. Oh boy. Now when it comes to stating the time it is not, such as to say it is not 3:15, we simply need to make one modification to our previous example. By simply changing desu to its negative form, de wa arimasen, we now have a negative statement, which in result means it is not 3:15. Sanji jugo hun de wa arimasen. Easy. Now you may be wondering, yeah, this is all great, but what about when I don't know what time it is? Then, of course, you just need to ask.
Sumimasen, ima nanji desu ka?
ああ、もう1時です。
Okay, let's now look at this phrase again in a more relaxed example. Ima nanji desu ka? Ima meaning now. Nanji is a combination of nani meaning what and ji meaning time. In this phrase, these two terms merge together, which is called conjugation. More on that later. Then we end our statement with the desu sentence ender in question form, resulting in, once again, Ima nanji desu ka? What time is it? Before moving on, I have one question. Why when asking what time it is, nani and ji merge together as nanji?
I may be wrong though, but just thinking about it, it feels almost like nani is used individually or with a non-like color or what nationality. So for example, when you say what color in Japanese, it would go nani iro. Iro is color. When putting sentence enders or counters, it changes to nan from nani. Sounds like a nan. Curry nan? Let's keep it up.
Now that you know how to state the basics, let's go beyond. Here are some additional phrases that will allow us to be more specific when stating the time, such as to say AM or PM, around this time, or even exactly this time. Let's now spice up our time-telling skills and see how these new phrases can be implemented. Example 1. Ima wa ichiji sanpun desu. Now it is 1:03. When it comes to stating what time it is now, simply add ima, meaning now, to the beginning of the phrase and follow it with the particle wa. Wa in this case marks ima as the main topic of discussion, so the listener knows, okay, now it is ichiji sanpun desu, 1:03. The next phrase we will look at is very similar to the last one in meaning. However, it's a bit more urgent sounding, I guess. Check this out. Shichiji choudo desu. It is exactly 7 o'clock. The additional word in this phrase to note is choudo, meaning exactly. To use choudo, place it directly after the time stated to add the emphasis of exactly that time. I guess if you wanted to double up and be super ultra specific, you could even combine these phrases with the previous to say, Ima wa shichiji choudo desu. Now it is exactly 7. What's the difference between saying what time it is now when you use ima or choudo?
Just clearly they are totally different words. Ima means now, choudo means exactly. So, or I think the exact degree of something. So rather than thinking choudo means only exactly, you can think it means an exact degree of something. Okay, for instance, if your boyfriend asked you how much rice would you like in this bowl? And he showed you while asking, is this good? You could say, ちょうどいいです. ちょうどいいです. いいです simply means it is good. And ちょうどいいです means in this case, the amount of the rice is the exact amount of what you want. ちょうどいいです. Is this green tea too hot for you? You could say ちょうどいいです.
You may now at this point be thinking, wow, how direct do we need to be when stating the time? And my answer to you is, even more. There's one more piece that we will now add to this puzzle. Well, two actually. And they are quite important. One is AM, the other is PM. Gozen, meaning AM, and gogo, meaning PM. Here's how I remember them. Gozen sounds like frozen, as typically the morning is a bit colder. Gogo, meaning PM, sounds like go, go, as during the day we typically are busy going around and taking action. Now this is just my strange way of remembering things, but I found it quite helpful, and I wanted to share. So let's now see how these phrases can be implemented into a full phrase to state the time. 今は午前5時です. Now it is 5 a.m. 今 meaning now, particle wa, 午前 meaning a.m., go meaning 5, ji o'clock, and the des sentence ender in this case meaning it is. As you can see, gozen gets placed before the time stated. In English, we would do this backwards by saying it's 5 a.m., not a.m. 5. So take some time to get used to this order. To state that it is 5 p.m., simply replace gozen with gogo, and now you have said it is 5 p.m. It's as simple as that. As Japan is often used on a 24-hour clock, do you oftenly use a.m. and p.m. when stating the time?
The military time is always used on the display, I think. For example, like when you check the time at the train station, you'll see the schedule board, and then generally military time is on that. When we speaking, we would use only, I think, a 12-hour clock with the gozen and then gogo before saying the time, so it's good to understand what gogo and also gozen mean.
Now that you have all the knowledge you need to be super exact when stating the time, for example, 今は午前5時30分ちょうどです. Now it is exactly 5:30 a.m. Let's learn how we can loosen up a bit with the next phrase, han, meaning half. When han is used to state the time, it literally means half past. Take a look at how this works. 5時30分です. It is 5:30. See how 30分 was used to state 5:30? Now as 30 minutes is half of the hour, why not save yourself the trouble and just simply say han instead? 5時半です. Now this phrase states it is half past 5. In other words, 5:30. The exact same meaning as before, just without 30分. Nice and simple. Is han only used to state the time, or can it be used to state half of other things?
Okay. So, but there are other words that use han to mean half of whatever the word. For example, so 一人前 is one serving, as you can pick up 1 at the beginning, right? So 半人前 instead of putting 1 is, guess what? Half of one serving.
Let's learn the last new phrase taught within this section of Duolingo with one final example. 12時頃です. It is around 12 o'clock. Notice the new word goro placed right after the time. Goro simply means around. So whenever you are not quite sure what time it is or what time you will arrive, you can simply just place goro after the time you think it would be to effectively state a rough time frame. This one is quite handy, but keep in mind, just because you know this phrase doesn't give you the excuse to be late. And time! Congratulations! You have made it through the time section of Duolingo. You can now count, state the time, ask for the time, all in Japanese. At this rate, you are going places, so keep it up. Now coming up next will be the full review of the routine section within Duolingo, and some other fun things. So make sure you hit that subscribe button right away so you don't miss out on that one. With that said, if you have found this review to be helpful, please like this video, share this series, and leave your comments below so we can directly address your specific questions. When I say we, I most likely mean Chisa. Now, if you would like a written study guide covering everything addressed within this video, see the link in the description below to get access to that guide right away. Arigatou gozaimasu for watching this video, and I can't wait to expand on all of this in the next section of Duolingo together. Imagine all that we will be learning over the next few weeks. It's pretty exciting, so keep it up. Ja, mata ne.